Hey everyone, welcome back, fellow seekers of the unknown. You are tuned to the Know God. I am your guide Chiyo Natsu. Together we continue our journey, charting the vast and enigmatic space that lies between knowing and not knowing. In our previous exploration, we stood at the boundary of light, contemplating the profound implications of how our perception, fundamentally shaped by the photon, defines the very reality we can access. We delved into the principle of photon selection, which posits that for any entity to be observable within our physical space, it must possess attributes compatible with light itself. We also considered the speed of light to see, not merely as a universal speed limit, but as a fundamental form that existence assumes on this emergent stage we call reality. Yet as the echoes of that discussion fade into the silence, a deeper, more existential question lingers in the air. A question that resonates with the very core of being. If interaction, if being seen, demands adherence to specific rules, what then of simply being? Is existence a passive state, effortlessly granted and enduring without effort? Or is it something far more active, more demanding? Does existence itself require a continuous effort, a ceaseless adherence to some unseen law, merely to persist against the encroaching void? Is reality a static fact, or is it a precarious achievement balanced on the edge of oblivion? Our guiding framework, GSISOM, offers a perspective that challenges the comforting notion of passive existence. It suggests that to be within the dynamic and ever unfolding tapestry of reality requires an ongoing act of validation, a process it terms self-proof of work, or SPOW. Today, we step onto that existential tightrope, delving deep into the concept of self-proof of work. What does it truly mean for reality to constantly prove itself? What intricate mechanisms lie behind this alleged proof? And what shadows does this idea cast upon our understanding of everything's, from the smallest particle to the vast cosmos, and perhaps even to the nature of our own consciousness? So, let us begin by unraveling the essence of self-proof of work. What lies beneath this provocative term, and how does it redefine our understanding of existence? At its core, GSISOM proposes the following definition. SPO is the continuous process by which information or any entity existing within our physical space validates its own existence and its properties through constant adherence to the fundamental laws and constraints of that space. Moreover, as we explored in our discussion of the principle of photon selection, for those entities that we can directly observe, this adherence must include compatibility with the rules governing light itself. Let us carefully unpack this definition, for it holds several crucial layers that demand our attention. First and foremost, the process is continuous. This is not a one-time event, a certificate of existence issued at the moment of creation and then forgotten. No, SPOW is an ongoing performance, a perpetual act of affirmation. It is happening right now, in every fleeting moment, perhaps even at the smallest scales of time, such as the Planck second. Existence, therefore, is not a state that one achieves and then possesses indefinitely. It is a state that must be perpetually maintained, much like the act of breathing sustains life. It's less like owning a house, more like constantly paddling a canoe to stay afloat. Secondly, the adherence is to the fundamental laws and constraints of our reality. These are the emergent rules that govern our physical space, the conservation laws that ensure energy and momentum are neither created nor destroyed, the principles of quantum electrodynamics that dictate how particles interact with light, the space-time structure shaped by relativity, and, of course, the constancy of a sea itself. Perhaps most fundamentally, it includes the principle of least action, which reveals nature's preference for efficiency in all its processes. Within the framework of SPOW, these laws are not merely descriptive, they are the operational requirements for being. They form the rulebook that every entity must follow to validate its place in the cosmos. Third, this adherence manifests through interactions. An entity proves its existence by engaging with other entities according to the established rules. Whether it is a particle colliding with another, a field exerting influence, or a star bending space-time with its immense gravity, interaction is the mechanism of validation. It is through these interactions that reality performs its constant, implicit systems check, ensuring that every participant is playing by the rules. Fourth, it is essential to distinguish that this validation is not a logical or mathematical proof in the abstract sense. Rather, it is a physical validation. Does the entity consistently behave in a manner that aligns with the established framework of physical laws? Does its energy balance correctly? Do its interactions follow the known force laws? This is not about theoretical consistency, but about practical, observable adherence. Passing this test means persisting. Failing it means dissolution or transformation. Think of it less like a mathematical proof, more like passing a continuous physical exam. Fifth, and crucially for our observable universe, the principle of photon selection ties into this process. For any entity to enter our sphere of direct observation, its interactions, its proof, must be compatible with photons. Its SPO must include behaviors that are electromagnetically detectable, meaning it must be visible or measurable within the light-based reality we inhabit. Thus, for us to perceive something, its self-proof of work must speak the language of light. What, then, does this definition truly imply? It fundamentally reframes existence itself. It suggests that to be is inherently to do, specifically to act in accordance with the rules of reality. Existence is not a passive property, a mere label attached to things. It is an active, dynamic, and ongoing process of self-validation against the backdrop of foundational potentiality. This perspective paints reality not as a static collection of objects, but as a ceaseless performance, where simply enduring from one moment to the next requires constant lawful effort. If existence requires this continuous self-proof of work, this perpetual validation, we must ask how exactly is this proof submitted? What are the mechanisms through which reality performs this ongoing verification? It is important to note that this is not a conscious effort, at least not for fundamental particles or inanimate objects. Instead, GSISOM suggests that SPOW is woven into the very fabric of physical processes that govern interactions and maintain structure within our physical space. Let us examine some of the key mechanisms that facilitate this validation. First, and perhaps most fundamentally, is the principle of least action. This principle, which states that systems tend to follow paths that minimize a quantity known as action, is a cornerstone of physics. It explains why water flows downhill, why light takes the quickest path, and why particles move in predictable trajectories. Within the context of SPOW, this principle is not merely a description of efficiency, it is a primary mode of self-validation. By adhering to these last action paths, an entity demonstrates its alignment with the dynamic grammar of reality. It is akin to speaking the native language of the universe fluently, proving that it belongs. It's a proof of compliance through elegance of motion. Second, simple adherence to physical laws. While this may seem obvious, it gains profound significance through the lens of SPOW. Maintaining conserved quantities such as energy, momentum, and charge, obeying the precise rules of quantum mechanics when interacting with other particles, respecting the universal speed limit of c. These are not just behaviors but validations. It is as if every entity must continuously present its credentials at every interaction, with consistency serving as the ultimate proof of its right to exist. It's the mundane moment-to-moment obedience that validates continued existence. Third, the space-time dialogue. In the realm of general relativity, matter and energy tell space-time how to curve, and space-time, in turn, tells matter how to move. This is not a one-time command but a continuous, dynamic interplay. SPOW interprets this ongoing negotiation between mass, energy, and the geometric fabric of the universe as a form of self-proof of work for massive objects. They validate their presence by participating appropriately in the gravitational dance, bending and being bent by the curvature of space and time. Fourth, photon interaction, which ties directly back to the principle of photon selection. For any entity that we can observe, interaction with photons is non-negotiable, whether it is emitting light with a specific spectrum, also absorbing a photon of precise energy, or scattering light in a predictable manner. These electromagnetically correct behaviors are crucial components of an observable entity's SPOW. It is, in essence, proving its existence to the light, the very medium that defines our observable reality. It's how they prove their existence in the observable spectrum constantly validating their membership in the visible universe club. Fifth, and perhaps most intriguingly, we must consider quantum fluctuations. The quantum vacuum is not empty but teeming with virtual particle pairs that constantly pop in and out of existence. Could this ceaseless activity be the most fundamental form of SPOW? Is the vacuum itself engaged in a high-frequency proof of its own potentiality, dynamically maintaining the delicate balance of net path zero that we speculated about? If so, then even the foundation of reality is performing its own self-proof work, ensuring that the rules are upheld at the most basic level. It's like the system's base layer running constant high-speed self-diagnostics. Thus, self-proof of work is not an additional force or a mystical concept. It is the unifying perspective that reveals why these diverse physical processes are essential for stable existence. Whether it is following the path of least action, obeying conservation laws, interacting with spacetime and light, or even the quantum buzz of the vacuum, these are not merely phenomena that occur. They are the mechanisms through which the universe continuously validates its own emergent structures. Existence, therefore, is not a passive state but an active participation in the physical drama orchestrated by these fundamental processes. It suggests that existence isn't just about being somewhere, but about behaving correctly, according to the rules of that somewhere, constantly and actively. Having explored the mechanisms of SPOW, we now turn our attention to a constant that underpins this entire process within our physical space. C, the speed of light. In our previous module, we encountered C not just as a speed limit, but as a fundamental form of existence. Through the lens of SPOW, C emerges as the ultimate standard of proof, the core parameter against which all existence, validation within our observable universe is measured. How does C assume this central role in self-proof of work? First, C defines the operational framework of our reality. If existence is akin to performing SPOW, then C sets both the stage and the tempo. For massless entities like photons, their SPOW is performed at speed C. It is their very mode of being. For massive entities, their SPOW is conducted within a framework structured by C, their internal dynamics, the speeds at which they interact, and the relationship between space and time are all calibrated relative to this universal constant. Thus, performing SPOW means operating correctly within the C in defined architecture of space-time. It's the space-time ballroom where the dance happens. Secondly, SIM serves as the signature of virtual space. GSISOM posits that a C is not arbitrary but an emergent output from deeper computations occurring in virtual space, the foundational layer from which our physical space arises. It represents the intrinsic processing speed or information propagation limit set by that underlying layer for our specific emergent reality. Therefore, adhering to C in SPOW is fundamentally about demonstrating consistency with the source code of the universe. It's showing it carries the correct digital watermark from the source code, like software proving its compatibility with the operating system's core parameters. Third, C embodies the self-referential nature of reality. GSISOM hints at a self-referential loop, where the foundation generates the rule, and the emergent reality must continuously adhere to this rule through its interactions to validate its existence within the framework. In this way, C is the linchpin that holds this loop of self-consistency together. The rule enables existence, and existence in turn affirms the rule. It prevents the simulation from drifting too far. Fourth, as C is the bedrock of observable proof. As established by the principle of photon selection, photon interactions are crucial for any observable SPOW. Since photons travel at C and their behaviors are governed by relativistic electrodynamics, C becomes the non-negotiable standard for any proof that aims to be detected or measured by us. To perform observable SPOW is to perform C-compliant SPOW. You can't submit your proof using a communication channel faster than the official light-speed postal service of this reality. Thus, OC is not merely one of many rules. It is the master constant that defines the arena of space-time, sets the limits of interaction speeds, establishes the criteria for observation, and serves as the ultimate standard of consistency for all self-proof of work within our observable universe. it is the unwavering beat of the cosmic metronome to which every entity must synchronize its dance simply to remain on the stage of existence. To ground these abstract concepts, let us examine SPOW in action across different scales of reality. Consider the photon, the fundamental messenger of light. Its SPOW is perhaps the purest and most straightforward. It exists by propagating at speed c, unwavering in its journey through space-time. In every interaction, whether emission, absorption, or reflection, it adheres perfectly to the rules of quantum electrodynamics. Its very path, a light-like trajectory, is its continuous proof of existence. The photon validates itself by being light, by embodying the rules that define it. Zip! Now, turn your attention to the electron, a tiny yet a remarkably persistent entity. What is its SPOW? It is the ceaseless maintenance of its specific quantum identity, its precise negative charge, its intrinsic spin, its exact rest mass. In every interaction, whether scattering off another particle or participating in the intricate dance of atomic structure, the electron follows the complex choreography dictated by the Dirac equation and the principles of quantum mechanics. When bound within an atom, it occupies only specific energy levels, emitting or absorbing photons at precise frequencies. This unwavering adherence to quantum rules is itself proof of work. The electron proves it is an electron by consistently acting as one. Reliable! Zooming out, consider the atom, a nucleus encircled by electron shells. Its SPOW lies in the dynamic equilibrium that sustains its structure. The electromagnetic force holds the electrons in place while quantum rules prevent them from spiraling into the nucleus. The strong nuclear force binds protons and neutrons within the nucleus. Moreover, possesses a unique spectral, a fingerprint, the specific pattern of light emits and absorbs. This consistent spectral signature is the atom's declaration of its identity and stability to the observable universe, a direct performance of PPS-compliant SPOW through the language of light. Consistent! Now, let us contemplate something vast, a star such as our own sun. Its SPOW is a monumental billion-year-long performance. At its core, the star maintains an extraordinary balance. The immense inward pull of gravity is counteracted by the outward pressure generated by nuclear fusion. This fusion process itself is a complex chain of interactions, each step obeying the laws of nuclear physics. The star continuously proves its existence by performing this fusion according to the rules, maintaining hydrostatic equilibrium, radiating vast amounts of energy as light, psi photons, and warping spacetime in accordance with general relativity. Its entire life cycle, from birth in a stellar nebula to its eventual death as a white dwarf, neutron star, or black hole, is one extended, intricate self-proof work, a testament to its adherence to the fundamental laws governing massive objects. Persistent, do you see the pattern emerging? Whether it is a fundamental particle executing quantum rules, an atom maintaining its structural integrity, or a star performing nuclear fusion, the principle remains the same. Persistence is not passive. Every stable entity we observe, across all scales of existence, is engaged in a continuous, dynamic process, a work, that involves adhering to the fundamental laws of its environment and interacting consistently within that framework. This ongoing performance is their self-proof of work. Reality, therefore, is not a static museum display, but a relentless, ongoing validation unfolding everywhere at all times. It's more like a vast, bustling workshop, where every single piece is constantly, actively being maintained, refined, proven, just to remain itself. Having explored the concept and its manifestations, we must now ask you, why does this matter? What does viewing existence through the lens of self, proof of, work change about our understanding of the universe, and perhaps of ourselves? The implications are profound and far-reaching, reshaping our fundamental perception of realities. First, existence is revealed as a process, not a state. This is the core shift in perspective. The universe is not a collection of static nouns, but a continuous flow of verbs. Being is inseparable from doing, from performing the work required to persist. A rock is not merely being a rock, it is actively rocking, maintaining its structure against the forces of erosion and entropy through its SPOW. Second, this view implies a fundamentally dynamic universe. If everything is constantly performing SPO, then there is no absolute stillness, no true equilibrium in the classical sense. Even the quantum vacuum buzzes with activity. The entire cosmos is alive with the ceaseless effort of self-validation, a perpetual motion machine driven by the need to exist. Third existence becomes conditional and fragile. SPOW introduces the inherent possibility of failure. If the proof is not adequately performed, if the rules are violated too severely, or if the necessary energy is depleted, the entity ceases to exist as that specific stable form. It dissolves, transforms, or disappears. Existence is not guaranteed. It must be continuously and against the ever-present forces of dissolution. Fourth, SPOW offers a new lens on entropy. The constant struggle against decay and disorder is not just a statistical tendency, but an ontological necessity. Maintaining order requires continuous work. This is the SPO bubble. Entropy, then, is not merely a measure of disorder, but the opposing force that existence must constantly counteract. Order, in this view, literally costs effort. It has an existential cost, paid continuously through the labor of SPOW. Fifth, and perhaps most radically, physical laws become prescriptive rules for being. They are not just neutral descriptions of how things happen. They are the conditions that must be met for things to exist at all. Gravity, for instance, is not simply what happens when masses are present. It is part of how mass proves its existence within the framework of reality. It shifts from "this is what is observed" to be here, you must do this. Taken together, these implications paint a picture of reality that is dynamic, conditional, and deeply interconnected. Existence is an ongoing achievement, earned through adherence to the rules that define the very possibility of being. This perspective forces us to reconsider concepts like stability, identity, and law. Seeing them not as given but as hard, one results of a ceaseless cosmic performance. And so we must ask if this is the nature of reality. What does it mean for us, for conscious beings who not only exist but reflect upon their existence? So we stand here, at the end of this particular walk along the tightrope of existence, guided by the concept of self-proof of work. We've peered into a universe where being isn't given, but continuously performed, where stability is a dynamic achievement, and where the very laws of physics might be the prescriptive rules for staying in the game. The ground beneath us might feel a little less solid now, maybe a little more alive, maybe even a little more demanding. If GSISOM and SPO were to hold even a fragment of truth, then existence isn't a stable foundation, it's a tightrope walk over an abyss of potentiality. Self-proof of work is the constant. POW, focused balancing act performed relentlessly by everything, from the smallest quantum quiver to the grandest galactic swirl, and yes, perhaps even within the fleeting, complex dance of our own consciousness. It's the universe engaged in its own validation, moment by moment, interaction by interaction, adhering to the rules of this emergent stage lit by the constrained light of photons. This perspective tells us that stability is not a given but an achievement, that order is not a default but a performance, and that existence itself is a profound, ongoing effort against the pull of chaos towards the undifferentiated silence of the source. And doesn't this resonate? Somewhere deep within our own experience, that feeling that just maintaining our health, our relationships, our sanity, our sense of purpose requires constant attention, constant work. When we feel that profound existential awareness, that deep burnout where striving feels impossible, could we be feeling the sheer energetic and informational cost of our own incredibly complex self-proof of work? So, could we be feeling the gravity of that universal tendency towards dissolution, the quiet invitation back to the simplicity of the void? And conversely, what about those moments that feel truly real? Moments of intense clarity, of creative flow, of deep connection with another being, of breathtaking beauty that stills the mind, those times when we feel utterly, vibrantly alive. Could these be the moments when our own spoke, our dance on the tightrope, achieves a fleeting, perfect harmony? When the effort becomes grace, the adherence becomes flow, and existence itself shines through, luminous, self-affirming, validating itself in the sheer joy of balanced being. Self-proof of work, it doesn't offer easy answers about life's ultimate meaning. If anything, it deepens the mystery. It highlights the potential precariousness woven into the fabric of being, the immense, often unseen effort required just for things to be It leaves us standing on this tightrope, suspended between the potential chaos below and the lawful structure above, faced with that ultimate, haunting question, a question the universe seems to ask of every entity, at every moment, echoed in every interaction, every sunrise, every heartbeat. You, here and now. By what work do you prove your existence? Thank you for walking this existential tightrope with me. This is Chiyo Natsu for the No God. Now, if existence itself demands such constant proof, such intricate rule following, such a delicate balance, what happens when a system tries to process way more information than it can possibly prove or output within those rules? Next time, we turn our gaze inward, examining the human brain's astonishing bandwidth problem. Could the sheer cost and inherent constraints as of self-proof of work hold a vital key to understanding the perplexing architecture of our own minds? Until then, keep questioning the nature of being, keep charting the space